Man, where do I even start? If there's something that I could be like just real on, I'm good at saying that I'm going to commit to something and then not do it, but typically only when it comes to passions. My girlfriend pointed out for this for me, my girlfriend pointed this out for me today. I'm so good at, if anybody asks me for anything, asks me to do anything, at the drop of a hat, I will do it. I will show up. I will do whatever task needs to be done. I will help you out with whatever you need to do. Except for when it comes to myself. Especially when it comes to making videos or just creating. And she's not wrong. She's actually 100% right. I don't know when this started, but it's been like this for quite some time. I'm going to go back, what month are we in? August? I'm going to go back 4 months. So the last video I uploaded to the few viewers that I have on here was, I think, like end of March, beginning of April or something like that. And at the time I had already started working on the next video that I wanted to work on. This video right here that I'll just toss a clip on the screen to show. And it's still in the process, like it's there. Like I could technically edit it and put it up, right? But I've just been putting it off for a long time. This video was going to be me talking about my thoughts on happiness and how happiness is viewed in the world, and, you know, maybe some things that we might have wrong about happiness. I spent an entire day filming this video with my girlfriend. She helped me the whole day, unpaid, and just followed me to a bunch of different areas around Milwaukee. And we took pictures, we shot video clips, mostly B-roll, but she came along the whole way. And it was a hot day out, but it was a fun day, right? We started, I want to say like sometime, not early morning, but maybe like midday, like 11 a.m. noon. And no, like 10 a.m. maybe even. So maybe just, we'll say the morning. We started filming. We went to a couple of parks to get some B-roll shots that I had wanted, and also take some pictures there for a potential thumbnail. We made our way to the next location, totally fine. Ran into some creative differences because she's also a creative. She's an artist. She runs an art business and a nail business, and so she has a lot of ideas. Just like I had a lot of ideas that day. Never mind that. We carried on throughout the day. We were at the last location that I wanted to film some B-roll shots at, and we were there for maybe like, I want to say like an hour and a half, just meticulously redoing shots over and over and over again because I wanted them to look a certain way. And, you know, it was nothing that my girlfriend was doing wrong. I was getting frustrated, she was getting frustrated, but I was getting frustrated just because they weren't coming out how I wanted them to look. She was getting frustrated because I was just being annoying. You know, I was telling her how to hold the camera, what to do, you know, back up. Just typical filming stuff, right? Aside from that, the day was a really good day. It actually turned out to be really fun, regardless of like how stressful filming might have been. It was pretty fun. And when we finally had that last shot that we did, we started making our way back to my car. Now, a little backstory on my car. I got this car in 2017. It was a 2009 Mitsubishi Lancer. I got it when I was, I want to say like 20 years old, just on the cusp of turning 21. And I got this car and never really took care of it over the last 7 years that I had, almost 7 years that I had owned it. I would take it to get oil changes, and I had run into like some mechanical issues from time to time, but I just assumed that because I had it for so long and I never had any like super serious issues come up, that there was nothing wrong. But I almost virtually never took it to get like checked up or majorly serviced or anything like that. That brings us to sort of present day, right? I had been wanting a new car for a couple of years, but I just couldn't justify it because I didn't have the money, and I figured, you know what, I'll just run my car down until the wheels fall off, right? And that was my plan. At least, you know, my on and off plan, as temptation would come and go. But I never actually pulled the trigger on getting a new car. I just kept driving mine. So back in March-ish, I decided that I was just going to try and do whatever I can to fix up my car, to bring it up to date, to keep it alive for a little bit longer, right? So I had gotten to go, I took my car to get a suspension issue fixed that had been happening for a while. It was making some creaking noises coming from the driver's side. And when I brought when I brought it in to get that suspension issue fixed, which was just like a control arm issue, the mechanic told me that he found a couple more issues that were going to be a bit like, they were basically going to break my wallet. It was like $1,000 to fix an axle thing, like a CVT axle, and then it was going to be an alignment that was going to be like a couple $100 more or something like that. But the control arm that I had gotten fixed that day was already like $300 or something. I think I can't remember. I might have the numbers wrong, but basically, in total, everything was adding up to be like around $1,500. I'm like, you know what? Oh my God, this is so expensive. Maybe this isn't even worth putting. The car was not worth that much. The car had over almost 210,000 miles at the time that it died. Never had any major services done to it. I don't know how the fuck it made it that far, but I managed to like get it there, right? $1,500. There was no way, especially at that point, it was right after tax time when I had paid my taxes and I had literally just broken my bank account. I didn't have much left to spare, right? I told myself, I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll wait a couple of months, come back and fix the CVT axle, and I'll see what I can do about the alignment beforehand, because the alignment was going to be cheaper, right? That was 1 week before I went to go film this happiness video that I had gotten this control arm fixed and gotten these other diagnostics, or just basically when I was told when I had these other issues about the car. I told myself that that was the plan. And it was at a time when I was feeling just good about plans in general, because I was just getting back into filming. I had just made 2 videos that month. I think one was just talking about I don't know what to do with my life, and then the next one was empathy, and then the one after empathy was going to be about happiness. So I was like, okay, boom, 3 videos in a month. I haven't done this in a long time. I feel good about myself. So the day that we were filming, we finished up at that last location, and we were heading back to my car, and I went to go turn the key, and it wasn't turning on. We were like 25 minutes away from our house. It wasn't turning on. I tried cranking it and nothing was happening. And after a while, after so many attempts at cranking it and starting it up, I gave up, and I was frustrated, and I started calling up AAA to see if somebody could get sent out to either tow the car or jump the car or whatever. And that was what I had fell on. I had forgotten to mention that earlier in the year, in January, my car had also died just across the street from our house, and I had to get a jump because the battery was dead. And at the time, I was also having issues. I was also having issues with my headlights. They would like turn off randomly. I don't know what the issue. I never ended up figuring out what it was, but the headlights would just shut off. Dangerous at nighttime, but they would just shut off. So I was able to drive the car during the day, but at nighttime, if I wanted to drive or DoorDash or something, the headlights would just die randomly. And there was no way to get them to turn back on. And they would turn back on sometimes, but it wasn't by my own, doing. They would just, I don't know what was going on there. My car died in January. I put a new battery in it. Headlights were fixed. The car was running totally fine. I was like, okay, that fixes the issue, right? I'm not a car guy. I don't know what else could have been the issue. That was in January. 3 months later, it dies again at this park that we're at the end of filming that day. So we managed to get the car towed back to our house, and I had to assess the situation. I was like, okay, what do I do? Because I literally a week ago just got told that I have to pay effectively almost $1,200 more to align the wheels, because the steering wheel was like if you can imagine like a steering wheel like this, it was like this. It was like, this is 10 and 2 was right here. That wasn't good. I had known that I had at least $1,200 of fixes coming up, and who knows how much the headlights would have cost to fix, because I couldn't figure it out myself. I had to assess the situation, and I just decided, you know what, it's time. I did not have the money to fix the car. I didn't even have the money to buy another junky car. And I was like, I can't risk buying another junky car because I don't have money. So I took a little bit of the money I had left over, and I just got a new car. Not like a brand spanking new car. It's still a used car, but it's a 2016. I'm not going to say it because I don't want nobody to know what kind of car I have, but it's a 2016 model car. Way lower mileage, runs a lot better, no issues or whatever. And I'm going to take care of it this time. I promise. I'm going to take care of it. And that was that. But I was broke after. Like, I had literally nothing. And so I had to scramble, picking up a bunch of door dashing hours. I was even fortunate enough to be hired onto my first ever photography gig, something I had never done before in my life. And that was a little bit, that was a good amount of money. It wasn't a lot, but it was like, it helped me get through the struggle that I was in at the time. But I was just doing whatever I could for money to get myself back on my feet. I say shamefully, but I shouldn't be ashamed because there's nothing wrong with saying this, but I had to rely on my girlfriend a couple of times, admittedly for a couple of months after I had bought this new car. And that was tough. That was tough because I'll be honest. If there's one thing that I do struggle with, like mental health skills and lessons that I want to talk about aside, my own issues that I still struggle with and I try to work on, and I know that I need to work on still, is pride. I was prideful. And this was way before this relationship. This was my whole life. Maybe it was my upbringing. Maybe it was my environment, the people I surrounded myself with as a kid and as a teenager growing up. But I just didn't have a lot of money, and I had to rely on her a couple of times. And it was tough. It was tough financially, of course, but it was also tough emotionally because I felt bad and about borrowing money. It wasn't a lot, but it was just enough to, like, help us both get through at the end of those months. And I did pay her back, obviously. That's one thing I try to, like, be serious about, is if I ever owe anyone money, which I don't typically ever borrow money from anyone, but if I do, I try to pay it back. Like if somebody covers me for dinner or something, something like that. The other aspect of it, though, was emotionally it was hard because I had sunken into a place where I felt like I had to focus so much of my time to get money, to feel safe financially. I have this fear of going broke, which could stem from a lot of things. One of those being that growing up, I wasn't poor, but we also just didn't have a lot of money. But I wasn't poor. I would say we were like lower middle class, if that makes sense. But we just basically relied on my dad's income growing up. My mom hadn't worked because she was raising us, so it was just my dad's income, and we didn't have like a lot of family here. We had some family, but not a lot. And like when we first moved from Puerto Rico to here, and there were hard times. There were a lot of hard times. Of course, times that I didn't understand as a kid, but as an adult, I look back and I'm like, oh wow, like this explains why I couldn't get these shoes or this console or whatever. And sometimes the sacrifices would be made and you don't understand it as a kid, but as an adult, you're like, wow, like my parents, they must have, it must have been hard for them to make sacrifices for these few things that they were able to get us, But there were hard times. There were times where I thought that myself or my family taking L after L after L, I was like, is there did someone place a curse on us at some point? It was tough, and I think I could maybe go into detail about that history in the future, but I use that to explain the trauma that I have now and the struggle that I have now with going broke. I don't have any desire to be rich. Like if I were to have a wish for life, it's just to be comfortable. That's it. I don't need to have a gazillion dollars. It's just to be comfortable, to where the bills can be paid and I can still do stuff. And if there's an emergency, that can be taken care of, and, no worries should be had there. But this was the first time I had been broke in a long time, admittedly. Oh, to my computer screen. I'm using my computer screen as a source of light for my face right now, just so it's not too dark in here. But I should really get like mini softbox lights or something. This is the first time that I had been broke in a long time. And I admittedly had been dreading it for a long time. Like there came a point in my life where I've never been rich, but I've been comfortable for a few years. I spiraled a bit. I'm not gonna lie. And by spiral, what I mean is normally if I struggle with something, or if I go through a hard time or just a traumatic moment in whatever capacity, not all the time, but sometimes I can get stuck in this cycle where I do something to avoid that happening again. So I picked up a lot of work, including having to borrow that little bit of money from my girlfriend. And I'm fine now, thankfully. I'm okay now. But it wasn't until recently that I had realized that I never left that day. I've been living in that same fear that I felt that day this entire time. This fear of bad things happening back to back. This fear that I've known since I was a child. Because it wasn't just my car dying in April. It was our bunny, Kronk, who's right here in the corner. He had a health scare, not even a week or two after I had gotten the new car. And he wasn't eating, he wasn't using the bathroom, and we brought him in to make sure he was okay, and, you know, that cost money. And that was just also scary in general. It was terrifying. I remember being in the waiting room while the vets checked in on him when we brought him in, and I was crying. He had gotten into a plastic bag that was laying in the room, and me regrettably not knowing better, I thought it was just like him eating cardboard or pieces of paper or hay. Just like, in my mind, I was like, oh, he's just got an iron stomach. That's just bunnies, right? But no, they can't have plastic, and I felt dumb at the time for not even taking that into consideration. They gave us the meds, and after a couple of weeks, he was able to poop, pee, and eat again, and he was totally fine. After that happened, there was, oh my gosh, there was something else that happened that I can't remember. Then we had a health scare with my dog, Pacha. What happened with him was, I think he broke his nail. We had gotten a visit from my girlfriend's sister one day, and we tried bringing him outside to introduce him to her. He's a reactive dog. Wasn't my idea. And so he was just like growling and like running from side to side. I had him on a leash, but he was just kind of going crazy. So that didn't go well. So within a few minutes, I brought him back towards the house, and he went to go pee. And after he finishes peeing, he'll like kick his leg backwards. I don't know if that's like to mark his territory or something. But when he did it, he put so much force into it because he was eyeing up my girlfriend's sister. He put so much force into it that he broke his quick, and by the time I went back inside, I noticed that he was walking and he was leaving a trail of like little droplets of blood, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Check out his foot, ripped the nail clean off. Not clean off, but like there was like, for this much nail, let me see if you can see. Bruh, it's not auto-focusing, whatever. For this much nail, it was like down to this. It was pretty bad. He was bleeding, but we cleaned him up. Put some ointment on it, wrapped it up, and it took like a few weeks to grow back, but it grew back. That was a bit of a scare because I didn't know if we were going to have to bring him in. And at that point, I had already, I had put so much money into fixing my old car, and then it died, and then I had to get a new car. And then there was the health scare with Kronk that ultimately I was just in... I was in just constant defense mode about life. I was constantly worrying about something bad happening, some unexpected emergency or bill to come up, all over the fear of just going broke again. And worse, even beyond that, going broke and not being able to afford any other emergencies that come up. When you're in that place, you get stuck in this mindset of bad things are only going to continue happening. And that's how I felt a lot of the time growing up. Is that bad things were going to just continue happening all the time. They weren't going to stop. And I believed that. It's not true. Obviously, it's not true. But when you're in it, it doesn't feel like there's any other possibility, right? It feels like only bad things are happening. Bad things are happening to only you, and only bad things are happening to you. So all that time, I had spiraled, and ultimately, I stopped making content again, which is something that this year I really wanted to change up. I wanted to start creating more again. In the face of my own self-doubt and hesitation, because it's another fear that I've been trying to overcome for years, is getting back into creating content, because I haven't quit, but I've changed up my niche so many times since 2019, 2020. And I've talked about that in a video before, where I wasn't necessarily quitting, but I just, certain niches like gaming, I was getting bored of. Comedy sketches, those were fun, but it didn't feel fulfilling. And then I started making mental health videos and just life advice videos like these. And that was different. It maybe hopefully felt impactful. I don't know. And I stopped again because I was so preoccupied with this spiral that I was experiencing. I'm not in that spiral anymore, mostly because it finally just it hit me that there hasn't been anything super bad happening for a while now. I think the last thing that I had to struggle with that, like, the thing is, it feels like a war. Not like, it's not legitimately like a war, but it feels like this grandiose, huge battle that you're dealing with whenever you're stuck in this like endless cycle, right? My lawnmower broke down, and we rent this house on a property that has a relatively big front yard and backyard. And so it takes like, oh my gosh, like 3.5 to 4 hours, at least for me, to go over the grass. And the lawnmower that we bought used like a year ago, and it was a bit janky. We bought it from this guy that he fixes up mowers, but it's supposed to be a push mower, but it doesn't even, or a self-propelling mower, but it doesn't even self-propel because I don't know. He just fixed it up. It was already broken, but he fixed it up and he got it running again, but it doesn't self-propel. It broke down. And the same way I don't know much about cars, I don't know much about mowers, okay? Which is funny enough because I grew up in a small town with like a lot of, well, typical just country stuff. But I also grew up in I did grow up in a small town, but I lived in an apartment my whole life. So I never got that experience with a lawnmower. Anyways, the oil was insanely dirty. It hadn't been changed in clearly a long time. The spark plug was very burnt out and rusted over, and it had no air filter. I don't remember ever changing an air filter in that mower. So it means that guy sold us that lawnmower without a fucking air filter. But I didn't know. I didn't know shit about lawnmowers, so how the hell was I supposed to know, right? Lesson learned. I changed the oil, I updated the spark plug, and I put in an air filter. And the mower was running again, thankfully. It's working totally fine now. But that was the last annoying thing that came up that I had to pour a little bit of money into to fix, which wasn't horrible, but it was still annoying. You know, it was at the tail end of difficult things that were happening. If I were to look back now and think about, could I have made videos during the past, 4 months? I could have, but I was so preoccupied mentally, and physically with trying to get back to a good place financially in life. And also just effectively running away from any problem that I could potentially face. You know, I value mental health skills. I preach about mindfulness, acceptance of feelings, and a lot of other stuff that I haven't talked about on here yet. But I still struggle with that stuff too, to the point where I get on a sort of creative streak and then stop creating for 4 months because I'm so scared of something bad happening that I have to be on standby to protect myself and the things I care about from happening, you know? But that goes to show like how severe it can get, I guess, if you let yourself spiral, if you don't practice those skills. Because here I am now, it's August 2nd, the day I'm filming this, and I'm making this video, and I was even overthinking this video the whole day. I could have made this video a long time ago. Or I could have just finished editing the happiness video and posted it, you know? And I'm still going to post it because I still think it's an important topic to talk about. And it's a bit more, it's definitely much more organized than this. That's just life, you know? Sometimes things are going to happen and problems are going to arise. Your wallet's going to be burnt to shit. Maybe your health will be affected. Hopefully not. Knock on wood. Stress will come in all kinds of different forms, and you go through it, and then things are okay again, like how they are now. And I won't lie, I'm still struggling, but I'm getting through it, you know? It's not as bad as it used to be. Like, for example, I'm filming this video. That's great. That's a great step in the right direction. But I'm struggling again with content, you know? I'm struggling with what content I should make. What's the right content to make? Perks of having, not perks of having OCD, but I obsess a lot about like what is the right content to make, what is the right thing to say, what is the right personality to have, the right niche to do. And part of me I think is just so enveloped in this idea that I've had of YouTube for a long time that you have to just do a certain thing. And you totally can. But I think the older I get, I'm starting to realize that maybe that's just not for me. Maybe I don't just do one single thing. I mean, I've proven, it's been proven to me before after trying a specific niche for a long enough time that I don't necessarily get bored of it, but I do end up wanting to try new things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And maybe I've even known this since high school, because that's the last time that I had no clue what I wanted to do, but then videos came into play. I had already been a fan of YouTubers. And I was like, you know what? I got a little taste of creating videos in high school in a little video editing class. I was like, I could give this a shot, and I tried it out because I had been watching YouTube my whole life. What I didn't know is I would struggle so much with my skill, my commitment, and just ideas, you know? Because I could have ideas out the wazoo, but I don't act on them for silly fears that I don't necessarily have to. I can listen. Not listen. I can have those fears. I can have those fears. I can have those scary thoughts and still do these things, but I have to and want to listen to my own advice more often, because I'm filming this video right now. I'm 33 minutes and 20 seconds into it, and I haven't. I've had doubts. I've been like, what am I doing? You know. But then I miss making gaming videos sometimes. You know. And I kind of maybe just want to try cooking videos sometime, or maybe just like a vlog. You know, just like that's the scariest thing, is like taking my camera somewhere in front of people. Fucking terrifying. But I want to try those things. You know, just a little life update. I've been growing my hair out. I don't remember how long it was in the last video that I posted. Also, my beard, I don't know if you can tell. My goal is to, I don't know how long it'll need to be, but my goal is just to be able to put it up in a ponytail. I can already do 2 big braids. Well, not long, but like thick braids, because my hair is pretty like thick. What else? Oh, speaking of hair, I've also gotten a few gray hairs around my head, and I had one on my beard. I don't know if it's there anymore. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know why I'm putting my mic to my beard, but in my hair, though, yeah, you can see it right there. Boom. Gray hair. I got a few gray hairs. That's probably from stressing so much most of my life. But I got a few gray hairs. Like I said, Kronk is healthy. My girlfriend's nail business is doing really well, which I'm super happy about for her, because she deserves it, and she's so committed and so talented. And I'm going to, I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this video, but I'm gonna link it in the description if you want to check that out. What else? Oh my gosh. Oh, just otherwise enjoying summer. It's been chill. It's been really good. The weather's been nice. There's been a lot. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on the microphone, but there's been a lot of construction the past couple of weeks, which has been so annoying. They have these huge rigs going up and down the street creating a new road in our neighborhood, because the road here used to be just like there were potholes everywhere. It was cracked like crazy. It was just old. It hadn't been done in a long time. So they've been redoing the roads all day. So all day I've just been like vibrating like very lightly because of the big rigs that they have out there. Got a little date with Sophie this weekend. That's about it. I'm turning 28 in a few months. That's a little jarring, but at the same time, not really. You know, when you get to like, or at least for me, when I was getting into my mid-20s, I would freak out thinking, oh my God, I'm getting old. Life is just getting too far away from me. I'm not going to be able to get ahead in life. Everybody else is ahead in life. I won't ever be able to catch up. But there's a lot to take away from that, especially when you remove like things you realize you don't care about, you don't value, like you don't actually value having a bajillion followers or a bajillion dollars or the nicest, fanciest things. Makes life much more peaceful when you focus on your values, especially for myself. Like that's something I had struggled with for a while, years ago, but I had moved past it and made peace and focused on values and developed values that I didn't know I had. Because I had spent so long ignoring them, right? And just focusing on chasing feelings and ignoring feelings in various different compulsive methods. I don't know why I keep staring off at the screen, but really it's just because it's just guiding my eyes, and also I'm trying to make sure that the screen doesn't go dark. But yeah, outside of that, truthfully, not much has been happening. I hope that things can be peaceful for myself and the people that I love and care about, and I hope that things are peaceful for you, the viewer, and you are doing okay. I want to get back into regular content creation. I don't know what that looks like at this point in life, because at this point I've realized that every 5 business months I don't get bored, but I just want to try something new and mix it up a little. So maybe I will throw some gaming videos on here from time to time, or maybe I'll throw on a cooking video, or maybe just a video about my dog Pacha, because that would be so cute to have like videos of my dog Pacha out there. Like, we take pictures of him and we have videos on our phones, but like a video with my camera, you know, like that'd be really cool. And post it on YouTube for people to see because I love my dog. He's my son. He's my little guy, my little baby boy. It's 4:51 p.m. now. I'm gonna end the video because I gotta decide if I want to. It's technically Sophie's dinner night. We're on a new dinner schedule, which has been very helpful because before it was just me making dinner all the time. But we're on a dinner schedule and it's her dinner night. But I might still sneakily make dinner just because I feel like being a caring, loving boyfriend. And yesterday was apparently National Girlfriend's Day, and I didn't do anything. I mean, the bank doesn't recognize it. To you, the viewer, I don't know how to say goodbye in real life, so don't expect me to know how to say goodbye in a video. Bye.